Saint Augustine, The Harmony of the Gospels, Book 2, Chapter 23, of the person who said to the Lord, "I will follow you wherever you go," and of the other things connected therewith, and of the order in which they are recorded by Matthew and Luke. Number 54. He next appends the following statement. And a certain scribe came and said to him, "Master, I will follow you wherever you go," and so on, down to the words, "Let the dead bury their dead." We have a narrative in similar terms also in Luke, but he inserts it only after a variety of other matters and without any explicit note of the order of time. But after the fashion of one only bethinking himself of the incident at that point, he leaves us also uncertain whether he brings it in there as something previously omitted or as an anticipatory notice of something which in actual fact took place subsequently to those incidents by which it is followed in the history. For he proceeds thus, "And it came to pass that as they went in the way, a certain man said to him, 'I will follow you wherever you go.'" And the Lord's answer is given here in precisely the same terms as we find recited in Matthew. Now, although Matthew tells us that this took place at the time when he gave commandment to depart unto the other side of the lake, and Luke, on the other hand, speaks of an occasion when they went in the way, there is no necessary contradiction in that. For it may be the case that they went in the way just in order to come to the lake. Again, in what is said about the person who begged to be allowed first to bury his father, Matthew and Luke are thoroughly at one. For the mere fact that Matthew has introduced first the words of the man who made the request regarding his father, and that he has put after that the saying of the Lord, "Follow me," whereas Luke puts the Lord's command, "Follow me," first, and the declaration of the petitioner second, is a matter of no consequence to the sense itself. Luke has also made mention of yet another person who said, "Lord, I will follow you, but let me first bid them farewell, which are at home at my house," of which individual Matthew says nothing. And thereafter, Luke proceeds to another subject altogether, and not to what followed in the actual order of time. The passage runs, "And after these things the Lord appointed others 72 also." This occurred after these things is indeed manifest, but at what length of time after these things the Lord did so is not apparent. Nevertheless, in this interval that took place, which Matthew subjoins next in succession, for the same Matthew still keeps up the order of time and continues his narrative, as we shall now see. Chapter 24 of the Lord's crossing the lake on that occasion on which he slept in the vessel, and of the casting out of those devils whom he suffered to go into the swine, and of the consistency of the accounts given by Matthew, Mark, and Luke of all that was done and said on these occasions. "And when he was entered into a ship, his disciples followed him. And behold, there arose a great tempest in the sea." And so the story goes on until we come to the words, "And he came into his own city." Those two narratives which are told by Matthew in continuous succession, namely that regarding the calm upon the sea after Jesus was roused from his sleep and had commanded the winds, and that concerning the persons who were possessed with a fierce devil, and who broke their bands and were driven into the wilderness, are given also in like manner by Mark and Luke. Some parts of these stories are expressed indeed in different terms by the different writers, but the sense remains the same. This is the case, for example, when Matthew represents the Lord to have said, "Why are you fearful, O you of little faith?" while Mark's version is, "Why are you fearful? Is it that you have no faith?" For Mark's word refers to that perfect faith which is like a grain of mustard seed, and so he too speaks in effect of the little faith. Luke again puts it thus, "Where is your faith?" Accordingly, the whole utterance may perhaps have gone thus, "Why are you fearful? Where is your faith, O you of little faith?" And so one of them records one part and another part of the entire saying. The same way be the case with the words spoken by the disciples when they awoke him. Matthew gives us, "Lord, save us, we perish." Mark has, "Master, carest thou not that we perish?" And Luke says simply, "Master, we perish." These different expressions, however, convey one and the same meaning on the part of those who are awaking the Lord and who are wishful to secure their safety. Neither need we inquire which of these several forms is to be preferred as the one actually addressed to Christ. For whether they really used the one or the other of these three phraseologies or expressed themselves in different words, which are unrecorded by any one of the evangelists, but which were actually equally well adapted to give the like representation of what was meant, what difference does it make in the fact itself? At the same time, it may also possibly have been the case that, when several parties in concert were trying to awake him, all these various modes of expression had been used, one by one person and another by another. In the same way, too, we may deal with the exclamation on the stilling of the tempest, which according to Matthew was, "What manner of man is this that the winds and the sea obey him?" According to Mark, "What man do you think is this that both the wind and the sea obey him?" Thinkst thou? The authorized version given above has an unnecessary variation, that, for. The Greek particle is the same, and Augustine gives quia 3 times. And according to Luke, "What man do you think is this? For he commands both the winds and the sea, and they obey him." Who can fail to see that the sense in all these words is quite identical? For the expression, "What man do you think is this?" has precisely the same import with the other, "What manner of man is this?" And where the words he commands are omitted, it can at least be understood as a matter of course that the obedience is rendered to the person commanding.